Okay, guess what I did last night?
What did you do last night?
I went pole dancing.
Pole dancing, like with a group class or what?
Yeah, it's actually a really hard workout.
Okay, was this your first time?
It was my first time. And did you know that the poles spin?
I actually do know that, but only because they've had them at buses and stuff that I've rented and party buses and things, you know.
Oh
I
my
was
gosh.
actually really sad the first time I realized it though, because I felt like it was cheating. Like I thought they were like legit spinning around those poles, but really they were just holding onto the pole and the pole was spinning.
I know. It's super tough though. Mad props to pole dancers. You guys are the real deal.
Definitely don't want to take anything away from them for sure, but okay, so tell me about why did you go? Like who did you go with? What did you wear? Like what do you even wear to that?
I just wear workout clothes, little, bicycle shorts and a cute shirt, and I wear tennis shoes.
Okay.
So the teacher that I went to says you don't introduce heels until at least level three.
Okay, how many classes do you go to get to level 3?
Like 12 weeks. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so this is like a program.
She does do like 6 weeks program. So it's 6 weeks level one, 6 weeks level two, 6 weeks level three. I think she goes up to like level five.
And then like by level end of level 5 you could be a stripper.
Okay, but are all pole dancers strippers? I'm really asking.
Honestly, I don't know the answer to that, but I hate to say that I want to say yes. But that's really messed up.
I don't know. I'm like, can't you just be a pole dancer? Like, this is so athletic. There's like a pole dancing association
Okay, but where do you just go like to pole dance if you're not a stripper?
because is all pole dancing sexual?
I don't I think to your point, I think it is very athletic, but my point is do they just have like these clubs or these like bars that have stripper poles? They call them stripper poles. So what else can we call them?
True.
I mean, then where can you go if you just want to like go practice your skills on Friday night?
Well, I'm glad I brought this up because the reason I wanted to do it is because one, I love dancing. Two, it seemed, I don't know, fun and sexy and sensual. And like, yes, I'm gonna go with three of my girlfriends and go to a pole dancing class.
I'm been wanting to go to one honestly, and I just haven't, and I don't have any reason except for that we just haven't actually put it on the books and shown up.
Okay, well, you have to go, but the reason I brought this up is because I feel like there was some triggers that were unleashed between my partner and my past relationship and a whole, I don't know. I feel like we need to unpack this.
Okay, let's unpack it. But first of all, you said you had some triggers. So what is a trigger?
Okay, good idea. So, for the audience, a trigger is basically a physical reaction that you have to an external stimulus that triggers something in your brain and makes you remember a significant emotional event in your past. And therefore, you go into either fight, flight, freeze, or fawn based on that prior experience. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So something happens and your body, you can feel it. You might, your heart might start beating or your hands get clammy or, when you feel like you're on fire because you're so angry.
Yeah, I do.
So it's all just a physiological response. And then our brain decides, I'm going to make meaning out of this feeling.
I like how you very specifically said that the brain decides to make a meaning out of this feeling because nothing has a meaning except that which we attach to it.
Exactly. And if you think about it, being nervous and being excited is pretty much the same physiological
Energy.
response.
Yeah.
But your brain decides, oh, I'm nervous because that one time I was on stage when I was little, people laughed at me.
Mm.
versus, oh, I'm excited because that one time I was on stage when I was little, everyone cheered for me.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
Okay, so I want to also talk about responses because triggers happen all the time. We're triggered by our kids, we're triggered at the lady cutting in the Target line.
Oh my gosh, in the car when you're driving, if someone cuts you off or sneaks in front of you, or, yeah, oh yeah, big triggers there. I'm the most zen person, but if you start driving like an idiot in front of me or you're going less than the speed limit and not five over, like I'm probably going to be cussing you out from behind you.
Oh my gosh, you have road rage?
Only, yeah, I do. I do not have a lot of rage in my body, but for road, yes, I am probably, yes, I do. It's getting better. It has definitely gotten better, but I do have road rage.
Okay,
Um,
this is such a fun fact about you.
yeah, welcome.
So when we respond to something like road rage, there's a healthy way and an unhealthy way. So what would be an unhealthy response?
Mother, what the hell are you doing? Do you even know how to drive? Do you even know what a freaking roundabout is? What the hell? It's not a stop sign, it's a yield. Do you know what yield means? That's
Oh
probably unhealthy if I had to guess.
uh-huh.
Versus my other response that's usually like, well, I guess they're not in a hurry. And honestly, I'm really not either. So might as well just settle in and be along for the ride today.
Love it.
It just,
So you talked yourself out of the rage and into the guess I'm not supposed to be in a hurry. They are where they are. Good for them.
yeah, totally.
I feel like this takes so much practice.
Well, it takes awareness, right? And if
Mhm.
you're not even aware that is a trigger, I mean, I don't even know what the trigger of that is. I think it's just always that I was always in a hurry because I don't want to be late. But then when I realized I'm actually in control of time and that if I'm not thinking I'm going to be late, then I'm probably not going to be late.
Right. And if you're late, okay, you're not gonna get
And
fired
the
or whatever.
world doesn't end. Yeah.
Right. So I feel like nervous system regulation takes a lot of maintenance, actually, because in, social media and with breath work and even yoga, we're aware of these different techniques. So you can use box breath or you can do EFT tapping, which I'm a really big fan of. I really like breath of fire.
Yes.
So, oh, and you know what else I really enjoy? Rage dancing.
Okay. You can also pillow scream. No one talks about that one though, but it's a really good one.
Pillow screaming's a great one
Yeah.
because I feel like sometimes what people are talking about is suppressing the emotion. So it's like, take a deep breath. But we're like, or get it all out.
Get it all out. Okay, so those are some ways, but I feel like I want to know more about this whole like pole dancing and trigger thing. What was the trigger of the pole dancing?
Okay. Okay, good point. So this really interesting thing happened because when I was asked, hey, do you want to go pole dancing? I had this intrusive thought that was like, I mean, of course, I'm like, yes, I do. But I had this intrusive thought of, should I not tell my partner? Where did that come from? Because I have a very supportive partner who I have never lied to. I know it seems crazy, but we didn't get together until like almost 30. So,
There was
why
a
on
reason to
earth did I
lie.
have this thought?
Yeah.
And it took me back to a relationship I was in my late teens, early 20s for 9 years.
Ooh, that's a relationship for sure. That's a long time to be with somebody.
Oh my gosh. And
How old to how old? Just out of curiosity.
18 to 27.
Okay, because I was in one from 15 to 24, 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
And
keep
was it
going.
a good relationship?
That was on again, off again. It was, no, it wasn't. It wasn't horrible. I mean, looking back, it was totally stupid and unhealthy, but I didn't know any better.
Right. So mine was what I used to say the word toxic. I was in a toxic relationship and
Okay.
I drank a lot. I was not perfect. When I was 18, my mom was battling breast cancer and I had all these emotions and didn't know what to do with them. And I basically numbed. I drank a lot. I smoked a lot of pot. I don't remember, I think, the years of 18 to 21. Like they're gone.
Wow.
So I made a lot of excuses for this relationship and how, I wasn't a good partner. But interestingly enough, I am going back to college, and these days they have the students do this program called Title IX. Have you heard of it?
No. And wait, what are you studying this time around?
Well, yeah, because I already got interior designer. Da, 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 da. I am going back. I'm taking some psychology labs so I can either get my master's or maybe a doctorate. Who knows?
Okay, I love it. All right.
Okay.
So Title IX. No, never heard of it.
Okay, so Title IX is so amazing. You have to watch this. I mean, it must have taken me 2 hours. This whole training on exactly what sexual harassment is,
Hmm.
exactly what abuse is.
Which we all think we already know this. So, I mean, didn't you think you already knew what those things were or no?
If I had watched this when I was 18 years old, I might not have wasted 9 years in that relationship.
Wow. Okay. So the contextual constraints of this is so much more than probably what the average person thinks about these specific topics.
It is so good and it's interactive and it gives real life scenarios. It talks about what you're responsible for when you're drunk, like, say, dancing on a table and breaking it. This was literally an example.
I love this because I did that a lot
So
without the
you would be
breaking it part.
responsible to pay for the damages.
Fair.
And what you're not responsible for, like someone touching you.
Uh-huh.
And it talked a lot about emotional abuse and manipulation. And honestly, I didn't realize how isolated that ex-boyfriend, I don't want to say made me be, but like I was completely isolated. Like I couldn't have friends.
Ooh,
It was like every time I wanted to hang out with friends, he had some big emotional reaction.
interesting.
And so what did I end up doing? Lying about it because I need to have friends and I want to have
Right.
fun.
Yeah. And you're so young. Like, how can you not have your friends?
Do you know he hung out with my family like once in 9 years? He'd always get sick or make up an excuse.
Yeah.
Okay, Ray, you're listening and you're like, this is really fucked up. What were you thinking?
Well, no, well, I'm not thinking that at all. I think that that happens to lots of people. I think especially in early relationships, you don't know who you are. So you don't know what's acceptable to you and what's not acceptable. How can you? No, it's not coming from a judgment place at all, honestly, because I think that we've all made those, like we've all been in that in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, but how do we not know better? Like, how do we? I remember going home and I was such a victim to whatever his emotion was.
Well, was your home life similar?
Okay, good point. Because now, after this whole healing journey, I realize that no, my home life growing up with my parents was not similar, but it did block a similar chakra where when I was little, I had to lie to my mom to be able to go out with friends. Oh my gosh, it was the same. Holy crap.
Usually we have patterns until we break them.
Okay, my mind is blown right now because I had uncovered the pattern about the throat chakra, but not that specific of hanging out with friends, as my mom called them, worldly people, because I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh my
So,
gosh, we have to save that for another, and I want to hear more about that at some point.
Okay, so true. Yes, I had to lie to my mom in order to have friends that were quote unquote worldly. And then I ended up in a relationship once I left my house where I had this boyfriend who had all these emotional, I don't want to call them issues, but I can't think of another word. And I had to lie in order to have friends. And I didn't even realize this was with my mom, right? She was just keeping me safe. Like, that's not abusive.
Yeah.
I was able to have friends. But with him, this isolating, this idea that I couldn't have a livelihood outside of him, that is abuse. And that's what this program literally, I'm saying it out loud for the first time in 20 years.
It's wild how even when we've talked about this like briefly before we started this today, that it didn't even come up then.
Ugh. Okay, so flashback to the pole dancing, I had this trigger, like my body felt that instant panic of, oh my gosh, if I tell my partner, I'm going to be in trouble, or like I need to hide this. But that's not what my relationship is now.
Not anymore, right? Because you've broken that pattern. So, did you feel it in your body? Like, did you have a visceral response? How did you know? How did you loop it back?
I think that this one is so far removed, and I am so confident in how amazing my partner and my relationship is that I realized it as an intrusive thought. I realized it as something like, this isn't me or this doesn't make sense. So it immediately shut off.
Cool. Yeah.
But it ended in a train reaction that got him triggered, which I also want to unpack since this is so powerful.
Okay. Interesting that. Okay. Yes.
Okay. So I get home from the pole dancing, like everything's fine. He fed the boys dinner and he was putting them to bed, and they were all like snuggled in bed and reading books when I got home. And he had made me, oh, I already said that. He made me dinner. So I came up and he was like, how was it? And I was, oh my gosh, it was so fun. I said, I took some pictures, I took some video because, you have to document
Of
this stuff.
course, especially if it's your first time.
Yeah, and I was proud to like show him because it is hard, but I could spin around that thing. My lands weren't that graceful yet.
So
But
much
yeah, I
growth.
was excited to show him. So he was looking at the video, and it was like something in him shifted because the boys, of course, were like, "Oh, what did you do, Mom?" And he said she learned how to strip dance. And in my head, I was like, okay, it's not stripping. I was wearing workout clothes. Like, I'm just pole dancing. And also, they're 4 and 5. So,
Do we need to tell our 4 and 5-year-olds that who repeat everything to everyone? My mommy went to a strip dance class last night.
and
Just
also,
you
and
need.
I tell them everything's so cool. Yeah, I learned how to pole dance. That's fine. And then something came up where he was like, oh, I forget even what he said. Oh, don't manipulate the situation. And I was like, hold on, what are we even talking about? And I was like, okay, what are you talking about? And he said, well, don't be rude to the guy that made you dinner. And I was like, wait, what? I can't even comprehend what's happening. But something about seeing these videos was not him. Like, he was being rude to me. And I just said, okay, I'm going to take my phone back. I'm going to leave. Thank
This
you
is
for making me dinner.
this was not the response I was expecting.
Right. Then I'm like showing him my cute photos, right?
Right.
Okay. So I just left and I was like, thanks for dinner. Let me leave. And then in my head, I'm like, okay, he clearly got triggered. Like, this is not his normal response. And I love you, Clayton. I know you're going to be hearing this. So thanks for letting us make an episode around this. And in the morning, the first thing he did is he came up and he said, hey, I'm sorry about last night. I was really tired.
Mm.
So he recognized that his behavior was off. And that was the end of it. And today's been fine. But I'm curious. I just think it'd be fun to unpack like, what do we think that was?
I mean, I haven't met him, so I don't really know. But my first initial thought would be that most people who pole dance are strippers. And so his response is almost like, "Oh my gosh, wait, maybe this is a slippery slope. Like what are we doing with this here?"
Yeah. Yeah. So fear, maybe, or is it almost like, I don't want to make a blanket statement that guys are jealous, but
Maybe like sort of that feeling where this is my person and I don't really want other people to see her like that, even though
yeah,
it's not sexual and you had a full clothes on and sneakers and the whole deal.
yeah. And the interesting thing is, since I was removed enough and have this understanding that I was able to walk away, but his reaction, I mean, it was much calmer than my ex would have been, but it was kind of along those same lines. And I feel like so easily, had I not recognized it, there could have been a full-blown fight.
Well, and same for him, right? He could have been like, "Oh, now you're just gonna walk away." Right? I mean, it could have like really flared up, but it didn't. So it's really beautiful that you were both aware enough to be like, "Ooh, we might want to table this."
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a really awesome example of when you dive into this type of work, this, inner child work and nervous system regulation and understanding your triggers, because the way your relationships evolve is just so beautiful and healthy. And I don't know, it just, ugh.
Well, when you have two people that are aware like that, it really is beautiful, right? Because then it becomes a conversation, not an argument, not something that is fueled by emotions, right? Because we've talked about this before, emotions are just energy in motion. And a lot of times we stuff them down and we don't deal with them. And then they become issues in our body. We have visceral responses to things and we don't even realize that, right? I mean, even I had posted something on social media this week, and I'm never trying to convince anybody of anything, but I am always sharing something to make people think differently. And specifically, this post had one comment about how there are missing pieces of the Bible. And what do you think about that type of thing? Because it kind of changes the entire context of religion that I know if these books that I found were actually a part of the Bible. And my sister-in-law actually commented, like, and when I read the comment, my heart just started racing. And I was just like, why does it trigger me so much when people question what I'm sharing? I'm not sharing to try and convince them anyway. But I think that there's this piece of me that is scared to say what I believe and what I think because exactly like this. It's almost like people automatically just jumped on your throat. It feels like she might not have even been coming from that place, but when I read it, it made me feel like she was attacking me for what I believe, even though I wasn't trying to put the belief on her.
Yes. And I read that post, and you were very much, it was something along the lines of, these are things I say now. I used to be cool or something, right?
Yeah, 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 that's what it was. I used to be cool, but these are some things I say now that I never thought I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought it was so fun. And your whole point is to get people to think.
Yeah.
And she kind of shut that down.
But that could just be because it's her already always listening ears just aren't open, right? She's already like programmed for to believe whatever she believes, and I don't even think that that's wrong. I mean, I want everybody to have the opportunity to believe whatever resonates with their soul. I think that's the thing is we're all so individual, but we're expected to believe one story.
And don't you think it's interesting that the reason she responded in that way to challenge you was probably because that post triggered her?
It's very possible.
And so you questioning her belief system meant she needed to question. She didn't she like follow up? She wanted more information.
She did. She wanted more information. So I gave her the more information, but then she didn't respond to that, which is okay. Like it's not a source of contention, but it did give me a visceral response that I need to continue to dig into to figure out what that is because I haven't identified why that's a trigger for me yet. Except maybe if we talk about the Akashic Records reading that we did and Mary Magdalene showed up there, and I've been really interested and fascinated with Mary Magdalene's story. I I don't know if that's why I feel triggered, like maybe a past life.
Well, I think this is so perfect that you brought that up because in my scenario, it was like, okay, we kind of understand why everyone's triggered. Maybe, maybe not, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't come up a lot. It's not affecting how we're showing up in life or with each other. But this one you want and kind of need to unpack because you are on this journey to get people to question these societal constraints and to open people's minds. And it's not that you know more than they do, but you appreciate this capacity to look at life as in a different lens, I guess.
Yeah, and be able to look at it from different angles without judgment.
Yes.
And
And
this
that
isn't the first time that this has happened in a similar manner.
And it was so interesting that it was about the Mary Magdalene gospel, right?
Yes.
And we had an Akashic Records reading, I don't know what was it, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, two or three. Yeah.
And she was there. It was the first guide that showed up.
Yeah, which is crazy.
And her whole point is to, you know, this Christ consciousness, but in this divine feminine embodiment of waking people up.
Yes, and I feel that sense. You know, even my human design is proving that I am here to bring shock and to not lead per se, but inspire different action and different thought and different things. And it's just as I'm getting older and leaning more into that, it's really hard for me when people are so close-minded. So maybe that's the trigger. Maybe the trigger is just that when people are not open-minded, it is disappointing to me because I know what they're missing by not having an open mind, if that makes sense.
100%. It makes sense. And also that this specific closed-mindedness, what's underneath that? Like, why are these people closed-minded? How can we get deeper?
I mean, are they even spending time doing any inner work, any personal contemplation? Have they ever thought about what they believe and why they believe it? You know, if they go to church, what do they love about the church? What do they not like about the church? If they had a bad experience as a kid and now want nothing to do with it, I want to talk about those types of things because I think that so many people had, at least in my generation, I think like 30 to 50 probably sort of has that, you know, at least some of the people, I don't want to speak for everybody, but for some of my friends specifically, they grew up maybe with a Catholic religion or just in general, some type of religion where it was like, do as I say, not as I do. So we're going to go to church. We're going to say we're sorry on Sunday. We're going to, relieve ourselves of all of our sin and our guilt and whatever. And we're going to be forgiven. And then we're going to live however we want during the week because on Sunday, we're going to go back and say sorry again because we
Ugh,
because we were born sinners. But we were born in the image of God. Like how can we be a sinner and not enough and unworthy and all of these things that is like an epidemic for our society, really. Everyone is struggling with unworthiness and not enoughness and we're all struggling to grab something outside of us to make us feel better. But it's all right here within already. God is not something like up in the sky. It's
right.
Christ consciousness within us. Jesus Christ is not Jesus and his last name is Christ. Like that's not it.
Yes. And I 100% agree. It's this, we are born sinners. Why? How? Because then you're giving your power away saying, oh, I'll repent to this God or man, and then I'm relieved of my sins. I just don't understand. So, what's the purpose of that? So, someone else has control over you, so you feel like you need to appease someone, or what is the point of that mentality?
I don't know, but it breeds victims. It breeds disempowerment. It breeds control, right? And which kind of goes back to the trigger of your past relationship that was unhealthy, right? And which is why you didn't want to tell your husband initially, like that, just that moment of that intrusive thought was like, oh, I can't tell him that I want to do this. Because then, I mean, whether it's naughty or it's not, he wouldn't like that or whatever it is. And then it's like, oh, no, no, this is a past thing that I've already worked out. I'm not experiencing that in my current relationship, but it still was like there and you still felt it in your body.
And can't it even be beyond, okay, my past relationship, but this is almost Magdalene's story, right? Like
Yeah.
she was an apostle to Jesus Christ and she received so much of his knowledge and she walked right beside him, and that's been stripped from history. And it's almost the same thing as like taking the woman's power or the woman's sensuality or the woman's
Vulnerable.
necessary spot right next to the man. It's putting her below,
Yeah.
and that hurts.
It doesn't feel good. And so maybe I just feel her pain in that then. And maybe it really is ancestral. I don't know. But I am still open to discovering what that could be. Maybe it means another reading. Maybe it means more self-study. Maybe it means, deeper meditations. I'm not sure. But I think that anything that I've been taught was bad or evil, which tends to be things like probably honestly when I probably 10 years ago I would have been like, "Oh my gosh, she's like this girl is of the devil." What do you mean she's going to just read Akashic records and she's going to be able to do hypnotherapy and all of these things? I would have thought this is not godly. But as I've evolved, I feel like these are all gifts that we've been given to bring people back to Christ. But just like any other gift, they can all be used for good or evil. And you
Yeah.
just have to be able to discern who you are connecting with and with what regard.
And I'll say what I've said in so many times. Every time I'm launching a program, every time on all of my sales pages, it's this work is all inclusive of spirituality. It doesn't matter if you're a Catholic, if you're Buddhist, if you're Christian, if you're agnostic, like none of this actually matters because the point of what we're trying to do is tap into something not necessarily higher than ourselves, but also within ourselves.
Mm,
And we all have access to it. The Akashic Records is just one technology that helps us tap in. And maybe, deep meditation is one way, or yoga is one way, or maybe reading the Bible is one way. But the problem I think I have is when the people that are really into the scripture make that be the only thing. And so anyone else that's questioning it or has any other thought process is they're wrong, right? Or they're very quick to assume, that's not true. There's only one way to the Lord. And that's just the part that I don't buy. Like, sure, you can love all your scripture, but do you think Jesus really wants you to shun other people's belief systems or like put this wall in between the way we're accessing this divinity or this ability to be good and kind and access love?
I completely agree with you on that, honestly. It's one of the things that I struggle with the most because even being in Bali last year for a few weeks, seeing how much love these people have in their life and in their culture and just the way that they live every day and how they multiple times a day throughout the day do their little what do they call them? Their offerings with the flowers and all the different things. And they're just always smiling and they're so happy to see you. And how can you tell me that because they don't call their gods Jesus, that now they're not going to go to heaven?
Right.
I mean, I guess we're kind of getting off track here into a completely other subject, so maybe we can do an entire episode on this. But at the end of the day, if we take away all the right and the wrong, the good, the bad, the evil, the magical, like, and just let everything be, because we're human beings, not human doings. We don't have to know everything because we come from already knowing everything. And when this life is over, we're going to be right back in that same place of knowing everything, of unconditional love. So it's not about finding unconditional love here, even. I don't think. It's about a personal relationship in this human body with other beings
Mm, it's so good.
and then recognizing it all.
And it does just have such beauty, such compassion, such understanding of the human race, and as this divine oneness that we're all here for the same purpose. There's no point to fight with one another or prove that your point is right and theirs is wrong because we all want the same things at the end of the day.
We hope so, right?
True. So I'm just curious, when you felt that trigger, before you typed out your response, what was your process in regulating your nervous system so you could respond in a way that still was with compassion, but also was true to yourself?
I love that you're asking me this question because it took me a minute. It was sort of like my road rage situations where I at first was like so mad. And I still, again, I need to figure out why, but I really was triggered. And then I thought, okay, I'm just gonna I'm gonna take a few deep breaths. I'm gonna close my eyes. I'm gonna go within for a minute. And when I can calm my heartbeat back down to a regular beat per minute, then I will respond with a clear mind. But also, what I've realized is that I have to type it out in that moment also, because that's not wrong to feel whatever that is either. And I need to be able to unpack that so that I can dial in and figure out why at some point, right? So it's better to not send it in that moment, but I think it's still good to type it out. And then once you're calm, reread it, figure out, is it really the best thing to send, or can you be more tactful in the response? Because again, it's not to trigger anyone, it's not to convince anyone or change their beliefs. I just want people to just think about it. That's it.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really good advice. I think I do the same. It's the first draft and then the let's clear out the bitches and no, just
Yeah,
kidding.
right. Mother. But to your point, you mentioned a few modalities earlier, and box breathing is a really great one. And for anyone who doesn't know box breathing, that's one of my favorite ones. It's such an easy thing to do. You can do it anywhere. And it's just breathing in for a certain amount of breaths. Let's just say for 4 seconds or so. So you're breathing in for four, you hold it for four, you exhale for four, and then you hold it at the bottom for four, right? That's a box breathing. And you can do it for 4 seconds, 6 seconds. The longer you do it, the quicker your heart rate's going to come down. But if you're really fired up, it's going to be hard to have a slow inhale and a long exhale. So the box breathing is really good.
And it shows your body that you're safe. It's taking you out of that fight or flight. It's proving to your physiology that it's safe, right?
Yeah, do you think also it gives your body the acknowledgement that it needs not to store that also? Because when you just don't acknowledge it, but you know it, like you feel it, but you don't acknowledge it, then it gets stored somewhere. And then you're going to have to deal with it in one of your organs or with something else or a big outburst later, right? So I think really just being aware that your body does have physical, visceral responses to triggers or other things is really important to know, because then, like you said, you don't have to hold on to it. You can let it go right in that moment.
And I love how aware you were even with this scenario. And I think this is such an awesome moment for growth, honestly, because as you expand in sharing these things, this is going to come up. So it was like you ticked that box, right? Like someone already had the thing to say, and you handled it in a way that was still true to yourself, but kind. And now the universe is like, okay, yeah, she is ready, and it's going to be okay.
Oh no, what am I ready for now? I think
Uh,
we're both ready at this point.
uh, I love it. So, what should we leave the listeners with today?
Triggers are normal, they're natural, and they're not to be feared, but just to be recognized. Again, we talk about this, I feel like, in every episode to some extent. We just have to have more awareness. And when we have more awareness, then we can more easily observe the situations that we're in, and then we can respond in different ways. And that's where real growth is. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
I think don't pass your triggers on. So, when you're feeling that physical reaction, find a tool to let your body know it's safe and acknowledge what's underneath versus just having this reaction and giving it back. Because had you pounded out that response that you might have originally wanted to say, then that would have caused a train reaction where then she was re-triggered, and then maybe you'd be in a fight, and then your husbands would be in a fight, and it'd be a whole thing. Or
Yeah.
had I, acted on my trigger with my partner, then I would have said, "How dare you?" And then it would have been a whole blow up. So own your trigger and alchemize it within yourself versus passing it on to someone else.